Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Adventures Travel Club television show. Betty and I are your hosts today, and as we get into the show today, we're going to be doing a little traveling. As you may remember, on our last few episodes, we have been traveling around the city of Berlin, and especially in eastern Berlin. But today, as we get ready on the show to leave Berlin, and we're going to travel toward Poland, right, Betty? Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's
Poland.
right.
Okay, but before we do that, we better have one last meal in Berlin before we go. And this was a neat little place right next to our hotel, and it looked very German to me, didn't it to you?
Yeah, it was fun. It was down in the basement. It was actually right next to the hotel. And we went down into the basement and had a wonderful meal, all of us together. It was a very joyful occasion. Lots of fun.
That was lots of fun.
Yeah.
And this is the Hotel Palace where we stayed while we were in Berlin. And boy, the location was absolutely great. Central location for us, of course, which you like, Betty, right?
Oh, I like those central locations. There's Betty Romano. She comes down from Fairfield to go
travel
with
with
us
us,
on the
uh-huh.
trip. She's been with several trips
That's
with
right.
us.
Well, we're trying to get everybody into the bus because we have a new bus driver, and also a new guide. So let's meet our new guide right now.
Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to shout louder upstairs, I'm afraid. I can't hear you down here. Good morning. Oh, that sounds better. Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth Deane, D-E-A-N-E, and I'm going to be looking after you for the next 9 days. So we have a long way to go together. So I shall be with you until we reach Prague. 9 days' time. And I'd like to introduce our driver. He's also going to be with you for the next 9 days until we reach Prague. And his name is Irvin. So good morning to Irvin.
Good morning.
Well, Irvin's wide awake even if you're not. And Irvin's surname is Peer. P for Peter, E-E-R. And Irvin comes from Austria. Have you ever been to Austria? Some of you have?
Oh, yes.
Well, we should be going to Austria, obviously, when we go to Vienna towards the weekend, next weekend. But Irvin comes from the second largest city in Austria called Graz, G-R-A-Z, which is south of Vienna.
Well, we finally are leaving the city of Berlin, and as we do, we're sort of in the east part right now. And Betty, I wanted to get a shot of this as we were leaving because it was raining so much of the time that we were there. But look at all these cranes. You know, we've been talking about how much in the way of construction has been going on. I mean, and of course now those buildings are already up and completed. But look, I mean, to me it was just amazing.
It's every place. Of course, it was of necessity that a lot of the reconstruction took place. Of course, what a dumb statement that is.
Well, if you're going to rebuild a city,
they
you're gonna,
rebuild the city. And I would imagine that they did more building than that was necessary for the booming economy now. And so it isn't all just reconstruction.
No, I would say it would be new construction.
New construction, right.
Because, well, of course, there in the east where so much of that was bombed out, and then when that was under communist control, there was very little that was done even to keep those buildings up. But this is beautiful. I love the old train station over there. You see the train coming in elevated, and it's beautiful. But as you say, you can see some of the old that wasn't totally destroyed, and some of the older buildings, but so much of the newer buildings. And we're out just a little ways now from the central part of Berlin. We're in kind of what would be not quite a suburb. We're not quite to the suburbs yet, but still in Berlin, but in just that one area. And as we travel through this, it took us a little while. I was surprised. I had read a little bit about, how large the city actually is, but it took us quite a long time before we actually got into the countryside.
Yeah, very beautiful city
Yes.
Berlin is. So much to see and so many contrasts that I think that also makes it so interesting for everybody.
Yeah, I think so too. And the thing is, there were some areas that you could see that almost looked like you were here in the United States. Now, this is Tempelhof Airport, or the airfield. And of course, we all know about this because this was so famous during the during the blockade and the airlift. And of course, these buildings here that were built, we learned on our trip that Hitler wanted the largest building in the world, and unfortunately, this was not. Because the Pentagon is still evidently the largest building in the world, but he had built that building, and underneath that, here you can see part of the airfield itself, underneath that building during the war there were actually construction of aircraft that were done under the ground. The trains even came in under the ground, and they assembled, the Nazis assembled a lot of their aircraft there.
You know,
So
that man was a clever man in his own way, clever mad man.
Joseph Stalin, the leader of the USSR as it was then, decided he didn't want the Allies in and around Berlin. He wanted us out. He wanted the whole of Berlin for himself, you know, for the Russians. He didn't like the fact that the Allies had a foothold 100 miles inside East Germany. So they started what was known, or became known, as the Berlin blockade in June 1948, and it lasted for 11 months until May of 49. And after the Berlin blockade finished in 1949, the two Germanys were officially formed, and that was West Germany became known as the Federal Republic, and East Germany became known as the Democratic, and that was after the blockade finished in 1949. And Bonn, B-O-N-N, a city in the west side of the country on the River Rhine, became the capital of West Germany. And Berlin, East Berlin, became the capital of East Germany. And it was after the wall came down in 1989 that Berlin, it was decided, they had a referendum, the people, they would like Berlin to become a capital of a unified Germany. So Germany was unified again in 1989, and Berlin will again become the capital. But as you saw yesterday, so you will need to have your passports ready.
Coming to the border.
Eastern Europe.
Well, as we can see now, we have approached the eastern German border and the western Polish border. And boy, Betty, look at the lineup.
What a line! You believe it?
But this is nothing. This is wait till we get on the other side of the border.
And when we see the trucks
Yeah,
lined up,
yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that in a little bit. That was a whole story in itself.
But look at the patience.
Yeah,
of
but look what our
people.
bus driver did. I mean, look what he's doing. Hey, we're going right around some of these folks.
Well,
Are
he's
we
very
supposed to do
foxy.
that?
Yeah, I really think so, though, Marv. If you look at these, are all cars, and,
Yeah.
and we were bus. So I think that what he
You think that was all right?
did, he got into the bus line.
Yeah, but I think he's going to pull into the car line over here.
Well, more
you know.
power to him then. But
Well, he was a good bus driver.
Not going to complain at all. But I think there would have been some horns blasting or something
If he did it wrong.
if he'd have done it
Yeah, maybe the
wrong.
people will be a little impatient. Anyway, this is exciting. I mean, finally now we're getting into Poland, which of course was one of the highlights of this particular trip. I thought the whole trip was absolutely incredible. And I will say, though, that in the eastern part of Europe, you still do have, or at least we did when we took this trip, you still do have that whole situation of passport control. Now, you don't find that in Western Europe, much anymore at all, or if you even find it at all, because you just pass from one country to the other now with the economic union there, and so it's not a problem.
You still have some of it, Marv, and of course, the security always is so great everywhere. And I have no objections to all of this. I think it's for our protection, for their protection. It's okay. I give them permission.
You give them permission. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And they're polite.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't run into any problems at all. But I think you see more of this though in the east than you do in the west, as far as being stopped at the
Cautious.
border patrol or
Yeah.
border checks, I should say. And but it's kind of interesting, and of course most people that travel today, they maybe take a trip to Europe or something maybe once a year. They all like to have their passports stamped, and we can see now our bus drivers going in. Look at the wads of paper that he has there under his arm that he has to get cleared just for a bus
Yeah.
to cross and go into Polish territory.
Well, you can understand why, because look what a bus has the possibility of being able to do.
What do you mean, smuggling
Oh
in
yeah,
goods?
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
could be, sure.
And when they came on board, this was easy though. It isn't
Yeah.
like some of the countries we've gone into that your heart beats just a little bit faster, and you think, oh, I hope everything is all right with my papers, etc., etc., etc.
I think that's kind of disappearing. At least I think it has in Europe. But you might find some other third world countries where that still is prevalent. Now these little offices that you see here, this is where you're going to go ahead and exchange your money. and because your dollars aren't going to do you any good.
Look at the mark, 788.
Yep. I mean, we got, you have to watch where you go here too. A lot of people went into one thing, and I looked at the thing and said, hey, wait a minute. The next little office over, yeah, right, because you got a little better rate of exchange, so you kind of have to watch that a little bit, But this, it was great, and we did get a fantastic rate of exchange.
We did very well.
Our money did great, didn't it?
This was one trip that you could say was inexpensive. I mean, as far as buying things,
everything was very, very inexpensive. It was just wonderful. So, and it's just nice to travel. When the dollar, of course, is high,
Well, we went at a good time.
I think we did. I think we went at a really, really wonderful time. Well, now we've finally crossed over, but look, here's a stoplight right at the border. So now we're going to cross in. Well, we're already in Poland.
We're in Poland.
Yeah, let's listen to our guide one more time.
Because the rate is very, very good. So you did extremely well. You got, what was it, 3.34, something like that, 3.4 maybe? So the rate is extremely good. So that will make things for us much cheaper in Poland.
Well, like you say, Betty, and like she said, we did do very, very good on the rate. Now, look, these are the cars on the Polish side going into Germany. But as we get a little further down the road, you're going to start seeing trucks. And you're not going to see one line of trucks, but you're going to see double lines of trucks. And these trucks are not allowed to move into the other country I think it's from, noon on Saturday till midnight on Sunday, something like that. And so as a result, these trucks, and now we can see them over here on the left-hand side, because they're going toward the west, toward Germany, have to wait until the border opens up for them. But this is something that really surprised me. I never expected to see anything like that at all. I mean, that was really a surprise.
Allowed in Western Europe, remember, from Saturday midday until midnight tonight. And this is a mark of respect for the weekend. This keeps the roads quiet. And just have a look at all these trucks. You wouldn't like to be in this line, would you?
The other thing is, too, that these truck drivers must be getting paid also.
Well,
I mean,
they
for
get
sitting
paid
there, right?
for it. But my gosh, what do they do? They must bring a box lunch, or they certainly have to bring something for their meals.
Did you see when we get a little further on down the road, what they call the welcoming committee that was out there?
Yes.
There's a few of the ladies of the night that are working in the afternoon and in the evening.
But I don't think they're bringing food for sustenance.
No, probably.
I think they have other things to offer. But this is for the truck drivers themselves. I mean, I guess you get a little nap, but even toilet facilities would be very difficult.
There's a forest right there on the other side.
There is a forest. Well, and there also is one area I know there for restrooms. But, it can't be helped. You do what you can do when you can do.
If that's what the law is in Europe, I mean, that's what the law is. So it was a big surprise.
And these trucks, some are from the Balkan states, Lithuania. Some are from Bulgaria, I see. I'm looking at the different license plates for you.
Well, as she stated, that we have, trucks from all over the eastern part. And the thing is, I was afraid I was going to run out of tape, but I said, I can't believe this. I mean, I can't. This to me was a phenomenon. So I said, I'm going to show the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you really do need to have an explanation of why you're showing on and on and on.
And you're going to see the whole thing, and we're going to find out exactly how many miles these trucks were actually lined up. Because what we did is we had our bus driver clock this. When I first saw this, I said, hey, clock this and see how many kilometers or how many miles this actually goes on, because I said nobody at home's going to believe this. Nobody's going to believe that truck drivers would sit there from noon Saturday until midnight on Sunday and not be able to move. I mean, I would be as frustrated as could be if I were a truck driver. Do you think any of our truck drivers would put up with something like that?
I doubt very much. But we couldn't afford to have trucks lined up like that. I mean, we need to produce and get things going. As a matter of fact, our truck drivers go so fast that if they stop them, no, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. But we
No,
have-
I think ours work probably on a different system.
Yes,
No,
I'm
you're right. They've got a schedule to keep, and here I know in this country, but of course I guess maybe they've got a schedule to keep there too. But this is just factored into it. If you're going to travel over the weekend, you're going to have
That's
this
right.
situation.
But
you
you
know?
must realize that we don't have problems like this in the United States. However, I don't really know, Marv, what it would be like going into Mexico if trucks going into there, whether
Or maybe
because
vice
on
versa,
another
maybe,
border
yeah.
borders would whether there would be this. Oh, well, it never would be this long anyway, because this is drawing from too many other
Well,
areas.
you're right. This is coming from from all over Eastern Europe, and of course that's where a lot of the goods are made, probably a little bit less expensively than they are made in the West. So you can see why the exporting from the East and the importing into the West.
Sure, one lane too. That makes it look longer.
Well, it was. Yeah, this is one lane
Just
here.
one.
But at
I
some
saw it
areas
there
there
for
it
a
was
while.
double
Yeah.
lanes, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's happened now. This is the main highway in Poland. This is the highway that's going to take us, right into Warsaw, and you can see it's not the biggest or not the
No.
widest highway, but this is it. And so I don't know if you're counting, but I'd lost count of the trucks already.
No.
Do you know how old we have to be in Europe before we can drive the car? 18. 18 years of age minimum. In the States you can drive much younger, can't you? 16 in some states, 17?
Yep, 16.
Yeah, 18 in Europe. And before you can drive a truck, in case you're feeling sorry for these truck drivers, you have to be a minimum of 21 years of age. And before you can drive a coach, in case you're wondering how old Irvin is, you have to be a minimum of 23 years of age. So he's at least 23, do you think he qualifies? Maybe in a bad light, huh?
There's the end of the line.
Has to be at least 23 years of age. And you must have had 2 years experience driving trucks. So 21 you can drive a truck, 23 a coach. 3 miles.
3 miles? 3 miles of trucks.
5 kilometers.
Great. Thank you. Do you believe that, Betty? 3 miles of trucks? I mean, that was something. That's just absolutely incredible. Well, anyway, now we've gotten into one of the little villages, and if you look very closely, sometimes you can see a stork's nest up on. There's one right there. It was up on the left-hand side. Actually, it was not on a fireplace, but it was up on one of those utility poles that were there. And
Gosh, the population must not be very big there if that's only
Why
a
is that?
few stork nests around.
no, actually, they said that there were more, but that was the only one that I saw, and that was just really kind of out of the corner of my eye. But
Well-
if you look for them, of course, they're supposed to be good luck. I think we all know that.
We've seen them in many, many places,
Yeah.
the stork's nest, but the story of the stork is what I was referring to, you know?
Well, I think the population is probably considerable. I don't know exactly what it is in Poland,
But this is quaint, isn't
yeah,
it?
this is nice, and this is kind of what I enjoy. It's nice, it's lovely to be in the cities, but then it's nice to get out into the countryside where you can just see so many just beautiful things. The little farms, of course, that we go by.
It sure beats going down the highway.
Well, this is, but
after-
this
no,
is
no,
the major highway.
I mean
though.
where we just were, the long,
Yeah.
long.
Up. Want you to look now. I got a
Okay.
few little shots. People of the welcoming committee. There they are, right there.
Isn't that? It's so sad. Really,
It really is. I
sad.
talked to one friend of mine, one Polish friend of mine, and she says, those ladies are not from Poland. She says they are from places like Albania and Lithuania and some of the other Eastern countries. Anyway, that's what she told me. Now, Betty, you know what this is right here, right?
Well, that's a car, and it's on back of a truck, and
Yeah.
it's on a trailer. Yeah, I do know.
But why is it going east instead of going west?
Because it's going to cross the border, and they're going to repair it, and they're going to sell it like something new. No?
Yeah,
that
you're
it?
right. Yeah, in fact, that's been going on for many years. Cars that have been in an accident or wrecked in the West have been bought up fairly inexpensively and have been transported into the East and repaired there, and of course, and then sold there. So
Well, I would imagine new cars would be very scarce in Poland, right?
no.
No? They have a
Remember
lot
that
of
little
them,
car?
That
little car that they make in
Hugo?
No, that's
No.
not the Hugo. It's I've forgotten right now, but it'll be on one of the later shows. In fact, that car, the one that they do make there, and I believe it's in Poland. Now, and I could be wrong, but so I better not say
Oh,
anything
you
about.
couldn't be wrong.
Oh, yeah, I
Come
could
on,
be.
come
But
on.
anyway, they've won several awards with the design, and because Elizabeth was telling us this, and I'm not sure if it's a Polish car or not, or maybe one of the other countries that we went into. But anyway, we'll find out on one of the later shows. But yeah, they had it was sort of a little inexpensive car, and then they upgraded it, and now internationally it won some awards, and we saw some in some of the showrooms
sure.
there.
Yeah, sure.
What?
I don't believe you. Is that really true?
That's true. That's
Okay,
really true,
all
yeah.
right.
In fact, I hope I taped that later on so that you can see that, yeah. But you probably were asleep when she was
Oh,
talking
come
about that.
on. Oh, come on. Well, no, that's not nice. No, yes, I probably
Yes, it
was.
is. It probably was
I
because we had
probably was.
this particular day when we were traveling all the way from Berlin all the way to Warsaw was our longest day of traveling, and of course Poznan, which is the Polish city that we're going to. In fact, we're going to stop there for lunch. Is about halfway between Berlin and Warsaw. So anyway, we're on our way there, and we left at a reasonable hour, had a wonderful breakfast before we left, and now we get to see this beautiful countryside. And then our first stop, of course, will be in Poznan, where we are going to enjoy a different type of a lunch, because when we get there, we'll see there were some different things on the menu there. But let's find out a little bit more from our guide right now, shall we?
And the name Poznan, or the city, is famous for its trade fairs. Now we've seen today that this is very much on the route between Berlin and Warsaw. And of course from Warsaw you can easily get into the former Soviet Union, into Russia, and up into the Balkan states, Lithuania, Estonia, and so on. So it always has had a tradition of being a trade city, because merchants, even going back to the Middle Ages, going back to the 1400s, merchants would come along this route and taking goods backwards and forth. So it links Germany, Poland, Russia and the Balkan states. Very, very important trade route. And even today, Poznan is a very important trade city. And they have their trade fairs here at various times during the year, but traditionally one of the biggest trade fairs is in June on St. John's Day. That's traditionally the trade fair season here. And for example, the trade fair this century started here in the 1920s, and every year thereafter they have had the trade fairs. And Poznan, like Warsaw you'll be hearing about, was greatly destroyed during the Second World War. The Polish people, about 6 million Polish people died during the Second World War. Hitler started his attack. Remember, the beginning of the Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, and this was the day that Hitler stepped foot and started his advance on Poland. And with that, a couple of days later, Britain and France declared war. September 1939. Hitler detested the Slavic people, the Poles in particular, and he described them as being subhuman.
There are a lot of these little greenbelt areas that are around the cities, and in fact, you see that all over Europe, but where they have the little, in some countries they call it the little garden houses or the little weekend houses, where the people who live in the apartments in the cities can go out and they can spend the weekend when they're not working there, and they can grow some vegetables and some flowers, and some of them have fixed up some nice little like a garden house
Like
there,
a
and where they
garden
can stay, so, and that is around this area too. They were behind the trees. We weren't able to see them here,
But you remember, we used to have gardens in here in California for during the war, where
Your
you
Victory
had
Garden.
Your Victory Garden,
Yep.
and you would take a neighborhood lot
Uh-huh.
and use it for your own purposes. And
Oh, yeah, I
grow
remember.
vegetables.
My grandfather had big Victory Gardens, and it was great because he grew so many things there that, you're
Sharing, huh?
with it. Yeah, you
Yes,
had too
yes.
much. Actually, you
You
had
have the
too much.
pleasure of growing things and the wonderful ability to share what you have reaped.
But can you imagine that in wartime? When so many things are rationed, and then with your fruits and vegetables, you had excess.
Excess, yeah. And of course, with our weather, we have it's such an advantage over other people.
Oh, that's true. And you're going to see too later on as we are out in the countryside that most of the people have got like little greenhouses. A lot of them, some are made out of glass, some covered with plastic, because this area of Europe becomes very, very cold in the wintertime, and usually with a lot of snow as well. Well, we are now in the sort of the outskirts of Poznan. It was a little bigger city than I thought that it was, and of course it was Sunday here, so naturally everything is
comes
closed.
to a standstill,
Yes, it
doesn't
does,
it?
right.
I was surprised too at the size of Poznan. When you read about it or you hear the names and things, you just sort of visualize. Anyway, I do, because I have a crazy idea about things that I'm thinking more of quaint places. They're little villages and city hall type thing, but not here.
We'll see that too. I have a friend that has a home here in Poznan, and so I got just a little bit of information, not too much. But then after seeing it, how big it was. I was surprised too.
What's anybody got a home in Poznan for?
They live there.
They do live there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that's a good reason to have a home there.
Usually.
You just he was visiting. And,
So her.
Her.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
she
okay.
lives, and her family has a business there as well.
You notice in Europe they use what we call trams. You see in the middle of the road, the one with the Coca-Cola's advertising, you call them streetcars. Well, everywhere in Europe used to have these before, and then some countries did away with them. Some countries like Austria, Germany, Poland, they've kept them. And now we decided that they're a good idea because they have little pollution and they don't make any noise. So some countries are bringing them back, these streetcars. So here on the left, you've got faculty belonging to the university. It's also a university town.
I love those trams. I think they're
that's
really great,
something
aren't
you
they?
have to remember, Marv. Over there, they're not streetcars, they're trams, and the buses aren't buses, they're coaches.
Right.
So we have two new words in our vocabulary describing the transportation.
And usually too, that's an honor system when you get on the trams, because you can buy a ticket for that. They don't always check, and a lot of people jump on and jump off. But
I've done that. Been there, done that.
I've been there, done that. But if you get caught,
well, I know, but
they're
if you're a
gonna fine
visitor, we did that in Russia too. We didn't have the rubles, and so you just got a free ride.
This is a monument to the uprising. There, we can see right here. These are the crosses with the rope around them. Well, we are going to stop here for lunch, as we said. Not at the Pizza Hut.
Not at McDonald's.
No, we're going to find a little restaurant that actually had quite a varied menu. The only thing is that, and this is what the interesting thing is, sometimes when you travel and when you stop along the road like this, we found a restaurant, and I don't think any of us spoke Polish. Well, I think maybe there were a couple people on the trip that spoke Polish, but the rest of us did not, and most of the waiters in the restaurant did not speak English. So we were
Very
having a
interesting.
great time. However, one of the guys finally did show up and spoke English so he could translate what we had. But a lot of us just took the menu and said, I'll take that, and I have one of these.
Well, you go to somebody that's sitting at a table, and you look and see what they're eating, and it looks
do you
pretty
have?
good, so you get the waiter and you'll say, and you point. But we've always, we never really have this worry except for lunch.
No,
'cause
I
we
know.
provide
And,
dinner.
to me, it's a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun. What did you have? Shawarma? Well, can you imagine having Mediterranean food while you're in Poland? I thought we were going to have Polish sausages or something.
No, I think that's the fun of traveling.
Right, it is. Listen, it's time for us to say goodbye, but if you're interested in any of our trips, give Betty a call at
488-7443.
and she'll be glad to send you out the brochures that we have on our trips coming up right away. So we will see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.